Welcome to the Brother Ill Show. Today we're going to break down or have a chance to absorb some information concerning the U.S. led G7 versus the BRICS plus nations. Maybe we'll even have enough time to look at why Turkey, a NATO member, is seeking um, membership into the BRICS nations. Why is it growing so fast? What is the impact to the American people of the United States of America? And it's all associated and tied into one, inflation, the catastrophic events that's happening here um, in the United States or at the United States or within the United States and amongst our allies. Um, this growing axis of power to bring balance to the global to the global spectrum is moving, and it's a lot of moving parts. And today's show is to help the audience connect to what's happening, to be informed and aware of what's happening and why it's happening. And I think the bonus part is the history dating back to the beginning of really the rise of U.S. power and authority, and the dollar, and why it happened the way it happened. How did the United States get in this kind of position where it's a dominant force in the world? Its its fiat currency is a dominant force in the world. Its military supremacy is a dominant force in the world. And the other nations that's been developing and building and seeking balance and equality on the world stage and recognition and freedom, to be free from under the U.S. and not just the U.S. but its collective, uh, what they call the collective West, its allies, Britain and Canada and Japan and other members, have supported and really controlled the U.S. Um, you can see, what I really want to say is that, at the end of this is what am I actually doing here? What I'm actually doing is attempting to show the audience that everybody else is in control of the U.S. government instead of the actual American people that actually put these representative figures in position to secure our beneficial interests. And actually, what has happened is quite the opposite. It's been a massive, great sellout. And I promise you, it did not just happen. This has been going on since the beginning, really, of of the creation of us putting together this platform for the pilgrims that had come over here from Great Britain and areas, that empire that was running. They was looking for freedom, and we granted that freedom, and we took them in as brothers and sisters, as family, and developed this reservation called the United States, or styled as the United States of North America, as a constitutional republic, and brought our brothers and sisters into the marvelous light of freedom and liberty. Um, and it was an important measure, obviously, an historic measure. And the United States, from that point, has always been in its in the intent of it was to create a beacon light of hope for the rest of the world, path for the rest of the world, um, to my understanding. And man, quite the opposite has developed over time, right? And Sojourner Truth said, I would have freed a lot more if they knew they were slaves. And so, being born over here under this ideology, a lot of people, especially in the most vulnerable communities of our nation, has no idea that they have been captured first and foremost mentally. Secondly, economically, they've been put into a system of debt, perpetual debt, to finance this conglomerate, on a global scale. And then at the anytime that you get in a position where you want to speak out, they're going to keep you in check. And not just you here at home, but this is going to this presentation is going to explain why we're bothering people all over the world. We want to bother Russia. We want to bother China. We want to bother uh, Brazil, South African country. Anybody that has said, you know what, we cool on the U.S. fiat currency. You're not going to keep human trafficking my people. I'm not going to sell out my people. I'm not going to continue to have you in my business unnecessarily. The United States has been kicked out of a lot of countries, a lot of countries. And again, we say the United States, but at the end of the day, we're talking about individuals that's driving the car and crashing the car. We could say the United States, that's it's a metaphor. It's an institution. Who are the people doing business as the United States, making these kinds of decisions to create destabilization around the world? And so that's my little spiel. Thank y'all for joining us today for the Brother L Show. Make sure you visit us at www.brotherl.com and subscribe to our YouTube and Rumble page at WIC TV Network. WIC TV Network. WIC is Wealth Intelligence Community. WIC for short. Not welfare, but wealth fair, where we share this next level of intelligence that allows the audience to apprehend it in such a way to be able to utilize it for their benefit. Staying informed is 99.9% of the issue when it comes to how do I leverage this my position? How do I get my position to advance itself? It's about being informed. And so you can leverage this kind of information to stay informed, to make better decisions, especially moving into the election, with just under 13 some odd days. You can vote right now, obviously, but you need to know how these issues up top, global issues, are instigated, stimulated, managed, designed by US led coalitions. And so, without further ado, I'll let the gentleman and his team inform the audience today.
The West likes to dismiss the BRICS alliance as a political sideshow, but is it starting to crack the US-led global order? Let's get to the bottom line. Next week, the group of countries known as the BRICS meet in Russia for its annual summit. After the Alliance of Emerging Economies expanded last year, these 9 countries now represent a bigger slice of global wealth than the G7, the main economic group of the United States and its junior partners. Population-wise, BRICS represents about 5 times more people around the world than these G7 nations, and it literally has 40 countries knocking on its door to join. But what power does it really have? And can the BRICS pose a challenge to America's grip on global dominance and the global economy, even if it wanted to? Today, we're talking with Richard Wolff, Professor Emeritus of Economics at the University of Massachusetts and author of more than a dozen books on the global economy, including Democracy at Work, A Cure for Capitalism. Richard, it's a real honor to have you on the show today. And I want to just ask you, like, point blank, BRICS, is it a real new thing that's going to challenge the American global order, or is it still an illusion?
Well, the short answer to your question is it's a real thing, not an illusion. It's already challenged the order that was dominated by the United States, and it promises to continue to do so. It certainly is, as we are speaking. It is only wishful thinking on the part of the major countries of what we used to the collective West, or maybe should call it. It's a self-delusion on the part of the West to minimize it, to brush it off. Really is a new world order that we are living through. And I believe many of the problems, many of the tensions, many of the hostilities we are in the midst of, as you and I are speaking, are derivative from, are shaped by the challenge posed by the BRICS.
So when I look at this group of nations, it's hard for me to understand, what do they represent? What are they for in terms of, I know that they may be against American dominance, but what are they collectively for?
They should not be thought of as some sort of monolith. They aren't. But they share that the highest priority they have is to emerge from the state of underdevelopment, less development, whatever language you find comfortable. These are countries that don't yet have the standard of living of the United States, and who do not accept the notion that they can't or mustn't or shouldn't aspire to at least the same standard of living, if not, in fact, a higher standard. And they want the freedom and they want the opportunity to do so. And now the tension. They feel that the United States, with its major allies, the G7, that is Canada, Japan, Britain, France, Italy, and Germany, those seven have held them back. First, as colonies, and secondly, as pariahs, as nations that are hemmed in by all kinds of restrictions. That is what's unacceptable.